Christian sports film The Hill was recently released, coming out in theaters on August 25th in the United States and now available on digital. I actually saw the movie in theaters on Labor Day and had meant to get this review out soon after that, but things got in the way. When I saw that the film was now available as a rental, albeit at $19.99, a very expensive one, that price should come down soon. But when I saw that it was now available as a rental, I decided that it was time to go ahead and post some thoughts about the movie. The film is directed by Jeff Celentano, and it stars Dennis Quaid as a Baptist pastor in the Bible Belt who was having a bit of a hard time catching a break. He's a godly man who cares deeply about being both a good pastor and a faithful head of the family, but financially things are tough and he can be a bit stern and rigid, and this does cause some friction with his family and other members of the community. And these character traits will play a role throughout the entirety of the story. Quaid is one of a few grizzled veteran actors whose names you might know. Also appearing are Scott Glenn, best known for films like The Right Stuff, The Silence of the Lambs, and Training Day. And he shows up here in a few scenes near the end as a baseball scout. But appearing in far more of the movie is Bonnie Bedelia. If that name doesn't immediately ring a bell for you, she is perhaps best known as John McClane's wife Holly in Die Hard, which is definitely not a Christmas movie, and also in the TV show Parenthood. Good luck recognizing her here though, because she seems to be under a pretty heavy layer of makeup to play the family matriarch. 26-year-old Colin Ford plays Rickey Hill, the titular character. That is the older version of Rickey Hill. About half the movie actually focuses on Hill's childhood when Hill is somewhere around 11 years old. And then we flash forward about halfway into the movie to when Hill is in high school. And those earlier scenes when Hill was a wee lad feature newcomer Jesse Berry, who gets his big break with this film, as all he did before this movie was a few episodes of television. And in fact, I have to say, while I thought that Colin Ford did a very commendable job playing the older Hill, there was something that Berry brought to the role as the younger version of the character that was pretty special. I thought he did an excellent job and was surprised to see how few credits he has on his resume because his performance comes across as that of a much more experienced actor. The film follows the journey of real-life baseball player Rickey Hill, who suffered from a young age from a degenerative spinal disease that affected his ability to walk, but who nevertheless loved baseball and found that he had a gift for taking a bat and knocking balls way on out there, which, if you live under a rock and have never heard of baseball, I can tell you that that's a pretty important part of the game. And in the film, the young Hill becomes convinced that God had given him this ability and that it was his destiny to become a professional baseball player. Less convinced, however, is his father, who believes that because of his disability, the goal of becoming a professional baseball player is not only out of reach, but that he might seriously hurt himself if he pursues it. And Quaid's character tries to convince his son instead that God's will for his life is to become a preacher. And much of the film is focused on this tug of war between the father and the son and the various family dynamics brought about by the situation, with Rickey's mother, grandmother, brother, and sister kind of caught in the middle. The screenplay for the film was actually co-written by Angelo Pizzo, who previously had written the scripts for popular sports dramas Rudy and Hoosiers. Hoosiers, that's a fine film with Gene Hackman, and he's bringing his experience writing sports dramas into the realm of a faith-based film for the first time. And make no mistake, this is truly a faith-based film. Some movies that get slapped with the faith-based label are only what I would refer to as Christian light. By that I mean that you may get 2 or 3 mentions of Jesus, maybe a scene in a church, and maybe a prayer, but other than that, the realm of faith really doesn't have too much to do with the plot. That's not the case here. Even though it is absolutely a baseball movie, it is also very much a Christian movie. As you watch it, matters of faith are prominent throughout, and you can almost sense the gospel oozing out of the pixels on the screen. The movie, however, is also an engaging piece of entertainment. Let's face it, sometimes the films that roll off the the Christian media assembly line, while perhaps well-intentioned, are just not very good. That's not the case here. It's clear that genuine professionals worked on this project, and I found myself interested in the journey of Rickey Hill. And I also found myself particularly enjoying the performances of Dennis Quaid and, as I said earlier, Jesse Berry. Furthermore, I also appreciated the fact that the film feels very old-fashioned. From time to time, a movie comes along, and I'm not just talking about Christian movies here, I'm talking about movies in general. But from time to time, a movie will come along where I think to myself, you just don't see many movies like this anymore. A lot of times, these are family-friendly films that have positive messages, that aren't trying to be edgy, and that just aren't cynical like so many modern movies are. This is one of those movies. It feels more like a movie that would have been released in, say, 1995 than it feels like something you'd expect to see today. Now, this is not to say that the film is perfect. It's not. There are definitely some aspects of the film that I did feel were a little clunky and amateurish. For instance, I thought that perhaps a little too much time was spent on Rickey's younger years before we get a sudden and jarring flash forward that covers a gap of about 5 or 6 years. Instead of so much time spent on Rickey's childhood, it would have been nice to maybe get a few scenes that help fill in the time gap, or at least get a few more scenes with the older Rickey to help understand how he got to the point where he was at that time in the story. Frankly, more than once I thought to myself that they should have sent me the script so I could tweak it a little bit for them, but they did not do that. I mean, I'm just saying. But overall, the movie is pretty good. Like, if you have the A-level faith-based films, the ones that are truly the best of the best, if you have those up here, then I would put The Hill like just below that on the B tier. That is to say, it's not excellent or great, but it's pretty good. The bottom line here, I think, is that if you enjoy sports dramas and you're on the lookout for a quality Christian movie that has strong Christian themes woven throughout the plot, then I think that you would enjoy this movie and you definitely should check it out. I'm going to give The Hill a 7 out of 10. If this review makes it sound like something that you'd like, then you probably will. And with that said, thanks so much for listening to what I have to say. If you like this video and you're interested in more of what I have to say, then click like and subscribe. Keep an eye out for more videos in the future. For now though, I am done, I am out, and I will talk to you later.